What's up, you guys? My name is Aubrey, this is my channel, and in today's video, I want to break down exactly why I like renting out cheap cars on the Turo platform. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly why I buy cheap cars for Turo, what my thought process is behind this business model, some of the pros and cons associated with this business model, and lastly, and most importantly, why I think that if you're a brand new Turo host, this is the perfect route to pursue. So let's get started. Now, I've been on the Turo platform since 2017, and over the years, I have been renting out almost exclusively low-end, cheap economy cars. Things like Toyota Yaris's, Ford Focuses, Hyundai Accents, things like that. Really cars that cost $5,000 or less. Now, over the years, a lot of people told me that I've been wasting my time with low-end cars and that my money would be better invested buying higher-end luxury cars. So I decided to finally put that theory to the test back in August whenever I purchased a 2015 Maserati Ghibli to see exactly if one Maserati could make more than 5 low-end economy cars. Now, spoiler alert, it doesn't look like it's going to, but if you're interested in learning a bit more about that, then I encourage you to check out my vlog channel, Aubrey and HP. I will link that down in the description below. Now, this Maserati purchase, as well as just the years of experience that I have on the Turo platform, has truly solidified my belief that renting out lower-end, cheap economy cars on Turo is one of the best paths to pursue. And that's exactly what I want to talk about in this video. Now, the number one reason for this is simply the return on investment. You see, the ROI on a cheaper economy car is simply better than it is on a high-end luxury car. And let me give you guys an example to prove this. You see, if I was to buy a $5,000 car, let's say a Toyota Yaris, for example, I could very easily list that car for $30 per day on the Turo platform. If I was to spend $35,000 buying 7 Toyota Yaris's, I could very easily make about $210 per day renting out these cars on Turo. Now let's compare this to one Tesla Model 3, which is a very common car found on the Turo platform. You could instead buy one Tesla Model 3 for $35,000, and you could very realistically, and I think fairly easily, rent that car out for about $100 per day. In this example, the ROI for 7 Toyota Yaris's is twice as much as the ROI on one Model 3. And this example is a very real example found on Turo with a wide variety of different cars. Now, I know that this ROI comparison leaves a lot out of the picture and that there's a lot more that goes into this equation than simply how much you're making on a day-to-day basis. For example, having 7 cars is of course more expensive than having one car. But at the end of the day, whenever you have 7 cars listed out on the Turo platform, there's a lot of different revenue sources that you can go after, versus if you only have one car listed on the Turo platform, your revenue is somewhat limited. Not only is the ROI better whenever we're looking at lower end economy cars, but the barrier to entry into the business model is easier as well. You see, if you're somebody who's wanting to look into purchasing a $30,000 car in order to rent it out on the Turo platform, that can be a really tough pill to swallow. It can be a really daunting task in order to sign those papers and take on that financial risk whenever you're wanting to start a side hustle. But that pill becomes much easier to swallow if you're looking at a car that is only valued at $4,000 or $5,000. The fact is, whenever you're looking at a car that is a bit more expensive, there's a lot more things that you have to account for. You have to account for things like your monthly payment, the higher insurance costs, the upkeep, the depreciation, and you have to make sure that your daily price that you're renting this vehicle for on Turo will end up covering all of these costs. But alternatively, whenever we're looking at buying lower end economy cars, a lot of these factors aren't nearly as important, and many of them simply don't exist at all. For example, more often than not, whenever we're looking at a car that is a 2009 or 2010, depreciation isn't much of an issue because many of these cars have already hit their depreciation bottom. Versus if you're looking at a 2019, 2020, or 2021 year model, depreciation could be a huge and silent killer. In general, I believe that the barrier to entry whenever you're looking at Turo is significantly smaller with lower end economy cars versus higher end luxury cars, and I think that the overall risk is lower as well. There simply is not as much risk to take into account whenever you're buying those cheaper cars versus if you're taking on a car payment and you're buying a higher end car that costs tens of thousands of dollars. The third reason, and one of the most important ones, at least in my opinion, is wear and tear as well as just general damage on the cars. This is something that I've talked about so much on this channel, and it's something that is so incredibly important to keep in mind. The reality is that if you have your car rented on any car sharing platform, whether it's Turo, whether it's Avail, whether it's Get Around, whatever the case is, damage Damage and wear and tear is something that you are inevitably going to run into. And the unfortunate reality is that some of this damage is not going to be covered by Turo. For example, door dings, minor scratches, wheel rash, these are things that are inevitably going to happen to your vehicles, but they can sometimes be things that are very hard to get compensated for by Turo or by your guests, which means that you're either going to have to eat the cost in order to get these things repaired, or you're going to have to simply let it be and just keep the damage on your car. Whenever we're talking about higher end, more expensive vehicles, these pieces of damage can have a pretty big impact on the overall value of your car, and it can end up causing you to lose quite a lot of money whenever it comes time to sell that vehicle. But alternatively, if we're looking at cheaper cars like a 2009 Ford Focus, this type of damage like door dings, wheel rash, small scratches, they aren't going to have as heavy of an impact whenever it comes time to valuing the car whenever you want to sell it. This is another example of a silent killer that can have a huge impact on your bottom line. At the end of the day, if you end up selling your car for less than the car is worth because of these pieces of damage, because of depreciation, because of high mileage, this is something that absolutely is going to break into your bottom line and can have a huge impact on whether or not you lost money or made money during your Turo career. That's why thinking about these things and taking these things into account early before you actually purchase your first Turo vehicle is something that is incredibly important. These three reasons, ROI, barrier to entry, and wear and tear, as well as just general damage, are the three reasons as to why I believe that buying low-end economy cars is the right route to go down. But the reality is, regardless of what path you pursue, the number one most important thing to keep into account is how much you actually pay for your car. The purchase price of your car and buying cars below market value is the number one most important aspect of any Turo fleet owner. If you buy cars at the right price, regardless of what that price is, you're setting yourself up for success whenever it comes to renting these cars out on Turo. Buying cars below market value allows for you to increase your profit, minimize risk, and it also allows for you to go and sell these cars for a profit later on down the road. So regardless of which route you pursue, whether you pursue low-end economy cars like I've discussed in this video, or whether you want to veer into some other territories like high-end luxury cars, as long as you buy cars below market value, you will be setting yourself up for success. Like always, you guys, if you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.